dugsiyada Nuruddin Schools.
Okay, class, good morning, and I hope everyone is fine today. It's me, Abdullah, again. This is our second lesson. Last week, we have started Unit 12. We studied the vocabulary from that reading, and now we are going to start the unit. Unit 12, this is in English from 2 classes. Lesson 2. Our topic is reading. We have also, the title is irony. We will explain what irony is and how many types of irony are there. All right. Let's explain briefly what irony is. We can say that irony, a means of expression which suggests a different, usually humorous, that means something that makes you funny or laugh, angry, because of the meaning for the words used. This is the description of irony. If you ask yourself how many types of irony are there, here we have got 2 types of irony. There are 2 types of irony. The first one is situational irony, and the second one is verbal irony. There are 2 types of irony. Keep in mind, at the end of this lesson, we are going to describe what type of irony is it. Here, let's start with the first one, situational irony. What is it? Situational irony, this is when what happens is the opposite of what is expected. Something happened and it becomes the opposite. So you didn't expect that result. This is called situational irony. And the second one is verbal irony. This is when a person says one thing, but that thing, of course, actually means the opposite. He said one thing, and then that thing is the opposite in meaning. All right. We have a passage in here. Read each of the following passage. Sorry. Read each of the following passages and explain what type of irony is used. What type of irony is used? Here is the first passage. A mean old man ate a large. A mean old man ate a large meal at a restaurant. Then what happened? There was a waitress in that restaurant. The waitress tried to provide him with an excellent service, with a great service, fantastic service. But what happened? Every time she brought him a dish, he complained. He was suffering from something. He was complaining. First, let's see the steps. We will try to explain what irony is it. So keep in mind to pay very close attention. First, what happened? He thought that the soup was too cold. It was too cold. When it was hot, it wasn't cold, but he thought that it was cold. Then he said that this meat was dry and chewy, when it was moist and succulent. Then he complained he started to complain again. He complained one of her hairs was in his pasta. But on the other hand, the hair was actually gray like his own. Let's proceed. She remained patient. She remained. Who is she? That means the waitress. She remained patient and continued to try to help him until the end of the meal. She has determined to stay tolerant. When he left, he gave her just 500 shillings for a tip. She replied, what happened? She replied on his way out, when he was going out, she said, thank you for the generous tip, mister. This is the end of this first passage. Here there is a question. What is that? What type of irony is used? What type of irony is used? Explain your answer. Before we answer this question, I want you to remember the two types of irony which we have seen in the beginning. The first one was situational irony, and the second one was verbal irony. What type of irony are there in this passage? Okay, class, I hope you processed this answer. And what is that? Can you guess what type of irony is it? Yes, she was serving in a best way, but he was complaining. He was complaining again and again and again, and finally he left without feeling very confident. So this is verbal irony or situational irony. Can you imagine? This is a what? Verbal irony. Yes, that's it. Verbal irony. Because he said that she tried her best, but he was complaining again and again and again. So this is that. Let's continue. Passage 2. There is a man in here called Ahmed. Ahmed was a reviews collector. Some people call reviews collector. Some people call this reviews collector dustman. Dustman. Ahmed was a reviews collector. He worked hard. That means he has tried his best to keep the city clean. But on the other hand, he didn't bother to dispose waste from his own house very often. Sometimes, some of his time, when he returned home, his wife would tell him, you have done a good job of keeping our house clean. Remember, she said that if you ask a question to a student and then he answers that question very well, you say, well done, very good job, I really appreciate it. And then his wife said, you have done a very good job of keeping our house clean. What type of irony is used? What type of irony? Remember, please, we have two types of irony in here. What Which one is it? What type of irony is used to explain your answer? Just you can work in pairs, or you can ask your friend. Then you have maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and then we will share the answers. Yes. Yes, well done. And as we have seen before, this is also a fable irony. What we said, fable irony, this is a fable irony. If you explain your answer, we said that fable irony is when a person says one thing, but it is in the opposite. He was dumping the rubbish even in his home, but his wife said, "You are keeping our house clean." So it was the opposite. So this is a fable irony. Thank you for your attention. Let's proceed. Passage 3. Henry walked into a bookstore. Henry, this is a name, we can say Ahmed, Ali, or Umar, walked into a bookstore, that means bookshop, and went to the religious books. Books are not the same. Maybe they are reading books, documentary books, or maybe religious books, and so on. Religious bookshelf. He went that place. He picked it up. That means he took the Bible, because it is a religious book, the Bible, and flip it through its pages. That means he opened it, flip it through the pages. As he was checking the book, he felt that someone was watching him. Unfortunately, as he was watching the book, he felt that someone was watching him closely. He turned it around. He looked around and saw that it was the clerk. It was the clerk, the person that was responsible in that place. As soon as their eyes met, as soon as he saw, the clerk pretended as if he was looking for something. Actually, he was not looking for something else, but he was looking for that man, Henry, Mr. Henry. Henry put the Bible he was holding. He put the book back into the shelf. He put the book and then he turned it into its place. Returned it into its place, sorry. Then he picked up another Bible. Another Bible, amazing. That was looked better than the first one, according to the first one. And flip it, as usual, it is pages. Again, he started to flip in order to check, in order to see the content of that book. Once again, another time, he felt that someone was staring at him. Someone was looking very seriously. So he quickly turned it around, and saw that it was the clerk again. It was the clerk. What's going on here? What's the problem? Let's continue. Let us see the mystery. Sorry, sir, he said, this is an apology, because they met 2 times in the same case. We have very few cases. What cases of? We had a few cases of books being shoplifted, being taken away without any permission recently, or nowadays. Responded the clerk. Amazing. Responded the clerk. For goodness sake, for Allah's sake, it means, I am holding the Bible. I am holding the Bible. How do you expect me to steal it? How do you expect? How do you anticipate for me to steal, when it says, that means when the book says, you shall not steal, you shall not steal, you must not steal, said Henry. I'm sorry to tell you this, he said. Who said? The clerk. I'm sorry to tell you this, the clerk said, scratching his head. He was scratching. For example, if you feel shy or something else, you say, oh my God, this. He scratched it on his head. But unfortunately, the Bible is the most shoplifted in America. This is another incident. The Bible is the most shoplifted in America. So that's the why he was looking very closely. Question. Let's see this question. Yes. What type of irony is used in here? This passage about Henry and the clerk, about the Bible. Which type of irony is used? It can either be fable or situational. Explain your answer. You're going to explain your answer. The first two, we said that these are fable irony. But what do you think this one? What do you expect? Yes, you have a few seconds to see this question. Okay, class, well done. What is it? Situational, fable. Can you explain your answer? Can you prove it? Yes, for the first two we have seen fable, irony. Do you think that this is a situational irony or fable as in the previous ones? This is gonna be situational irony. Situational irony. This is situational irony. It is unexpected results. Unexpected results. He thought that Mr. Henry was a thief and he was taking the book. But unfortunately, he was looking for a book to read or to, but unfortunately, there was so many cases in America that Bibles or Bible books are the most shoplifted books in America. Okay, class, that is the end of our lesson for today. But before we close our session, here we have got some activity, vocabulary practice. Remember, for the previous lesson, we have seen vocabulary. What can you remember? For example, we have seen mean, channels, vigilance, seculant, and so many others. Here we have got a description or explanation. Vocabulary practice. We just want to practice again and again in order to understand these words, in order to use, in order to make this vocabulary into our active vocabulary. That means the vocabulary that we use mostly. Fill in the blank spaces. Here, there are some blank spaces in here provided with their suitable vocabulary that best matches the meaning of each sentence. Here we have put some sentences, but in here, the answers are hidden. We cannot see. Okay. In here, we have this one. Here is vocabulary, and this is the explanation or the sentences. We are going to fill in these blank spaces with their suitable words. They are taking him to the court for war crimes. What is this? Yes, remember? Yes, that's right. Prosecute. 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 Next, number 2, Idris didn't want to talk to his brother, so he acted as if he were asleep. He was not sleeping actually, but he pretends himself that as if he were sleeping. So what is that word? Idris didn't want to talk to his brother, so he acted as if he were asleep. So this one is, yes, that's right. Thank you. This is pretend. Pretend. Number 3, question number 3. The man's job was to collect rubbish. This is refuse collector. Thank you. Refuse collector. Number 3. Number 4. The rich woman didn't like the poor people. If they come close, that means if they come near to her, she would tell them to go away. So this is mean. Thank you. Hinda took some sweets from the shop and put them in her pocket. She ran away without paying for them. What's that? I'm sorry to write in there, but this is an example. Shoplifted. Thank you very much. Shoplift. And the final question is, Shukri was walking to the store. She was walking to the store at night. She kept looking around. She kept looking around. She was walking to make sure that there were no thieves close by. There were no thieves close by, coming close. So this is vigilance. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. That is the end of our first lesson. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you very much. See you soon.